Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, I'm my typical 2 minutes late. So sorry. So sorry. But I was trying to put on something that was red today. I said, you know what? This is a red month. It's the heart month. It's also the love month. And then I like red. Purple's my favorite color, but red, I can wear the red. The red is good. How was your weekend? What did you do? Did you do anything that was fun? I dropped my papers on the floor. Hold on one second. Um, did you have a good time? Did you visit with family? What'd you do? I hung out a little bit with my daughter, and that was fun. She took me to this place called Where Have You Been? It's a little too much for me. It took too long, and it's where it's like a warehouse from where, say, Amazon or maybe even Target, maybe Walmart, where gifts or things have been returned for whatever the reason, and you can go there. So that was like pretty interesting to me. But I ended up finding a few things. I found this magnifying glass, which is good, where I don't necessarily need my glasses for very, very fine print. I'm still able to read some things pretty small, but it's really good. Good morning, Joan. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? How was your weekend? I'm looking forward to tomorrow. They're going to have a Dr. Henry Louis Gates Jr. Um, discussion on history of gospel music in the Black race, and then after that, they're going to have an actual live streaming of Black gospel singers. And it's going to be over at the WSRE Studios, Amos, I think it's called, Amos Performing Arts on the Pensacola State campus. So we're going to do that tomorrow, and I've put it out there. I think I only have 2 tickets left, of which I started with 15, but I'm down to 2, and they're free. So if you're in the area and you want to go, let me know, and we will. Actually, I can just text you the ticket. You don't have to do anything else. And as I said, they were free. But anyway, today I wanted to talk about a little bit of history. And the word for today is a word, I think I'm going to spell it before I say it. It's EPONYMOUS. 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 It's one of those words that you say, well, who needs it? But it's packed with a lot of things, because eponymous is an adjective used to describe a person or thing after which something is named. And, commemoratively, this weekend coming, we're supposed to have a dedication for Chappie James, who's the first Black general who was so noted and from this area that he was basically the first. And sometimes, if you're the first, sometimes if you're an inventor, you might be a writer, you might be an artist of some sort, be it music or the physical arts of dance, or actually paintings, or wall murals, all those kinds of things that would possibly leave an eponymous background for you, where somebody wants to recognize you either while you're still here, a living momentous occasion, or of course after you have passed on. So it's really something I had been thinking about, and I said, you know what, how do I do this? How do I make it where the word, just didn't want to say, in recognition of. No, I wanted to try to make it where you'd also learn a little something along the way. So I found some things that I thought were notable, and this is Black History Month, so I did want to make some things known. If you so choose to write them down, that's wonderful. But they have some notable things. Like it says, Charlotte E. Ray, 1872, was the first African American woman lawyer ever known in history. She received her degree from Howard University from the School of Law in Washington, D.C. Let's see, I'm just going to pick some. Then he says Mary E. Maroney from Boston is the first African American woman to receive a diploma in nursing from New England Hospital for Women and Children. We don't always know our history. If you're minority, you may not know all the history. We only got some of the history. And sometimes our parents were not the ones who could, filter through and give us the history as they knew it. Because I know, even though my mother and father were not slaves, we certainly know that someplace we are descendants, and, some information would not been passed on because education was denied, to actually be taught. But here's some other ones that I have. Let's see. Violet M. Anderson of Chicago was the first African American woman lawyer to practice before the U.S. Supreme Court. Lorraine Hansberry, and I'm quite sure if you're a person who loves theater and writing, then you know that she wrote A Raisin in the Sun. So these are just a few people. Toni Morrison, Dr. Martin Luther King, everybody knows his history. Just so many people. James Baldwin, James Baldwin was an author. The Fire Next Time. There's just so many things that we just don't know. Good morning, Debbie. How are you doing? Good morning. Good morning. Did you have a good weekend? I know you probably did. Jackie Joyner Kersee was the first African-American woman to win back-to-back gold medals at the Olympics, So sometimes we may not know all the history, but history is made every day. I don't care who we are. I don't care what color we are. History is being made by somebody that's tried something that wasn't tried before, done something that wasn't done before. And sometimes the acknowledgement isn't done while the person is living. It's post their death, posthumously. That's when people find out, wow, they did all of that. I say do what you do, whatever it is that you do, that you become accustomed to doing and enjoying, keep doing that, because somebody may recognize it later on in your life, or maybe even after you're gone. Maybe your relatives, your descendants will recognize some of the great things that happened in your life. But, this book I found was created by the Department of Defense, Domestic Independent Elementary Schools. So I've had it for years. Someone actually had given it to me. And so it has recipes in it from I've never heard of Parmesan collard green casserole. I probably wouldn't like that. Stewed tomatoes and greens. I would eat that. So it has some couple of things in here. Grits and greens. I don't know about that one right there. Barbecue chicken, yes, but it's spicy. So these are just things that I happen to look up and say, hey, I'll speak a little bit on that. But for the most part, when you look back over, many of the things that have happened in history, you may not know it all. But sometimes you do have an opportunity to, see what was left, a monument in recognition on. And, that's called, eponymous. That means something that someone has gone on to maybe glory, or they may even still be here, but they're recognized. They are recognized. So it says when you have, someone has probably gone through a period where they've done some things that are eponymous, connected. It says one for whom of which something is or believed to be named. So that means something can be named after them. Like if you look around the cities, the townships, the state that you're in, they're probably named after somebody. Someone did something, and it was decided to be named after that person. A lot of our buildings here are named after, 2 or 3 people that are able to, have been able to effectuate, whatever it is that they were working on and get it to the point where, the county, the city, the state, the country decided to recognize them by doing something that was, eponymous. So it says the eponymous talks about a name such as a drug or disease is also eponymous, based on or derived from the ephraim. That's when, such as, diseases that have come along, you find that they go back and it's related to the person's name. You didn't know that. I neither. But that's what it says it does. So anyway, when we talk about eponymous, we're talking about eponymic, nominative, self-titled, self-named, and titular. So all of those things pretty much bring us to the point that we may be in our own area of moving forward and someone else is watching us and they say, you know what, we're going to name this school after this person. We're going to name this room after this person. We're going to, donate money in a scholarship after this person. That is called eponymous. And I think it's an exciting word. When I ran over it, it says, what is our word? Eponymous. That's the word, Deb. So when we break the word down, have you heard the word before? Deb or Joan, have you heard the word before, eponymous? I always just say, they in tribute to, or I never really use the word, never have. No? Okay. I never have either until I started researching it. So it makes sense. It makes sense. But let's break it down. So therefore we'll have some other words that go with it that has it make more sense. So I first ask you, are you stuck occasionally on a word such as eponymous that you haven't heard before? That's our word today, Deb, eponymous. EPONYMOUS. And it means that something will be named after a person, may be named either after the person while they're still here and they're living, or they could do it posthumously after they've moved on to glory. But that's the word. So anyway, we break this word down. My E of eponymous is eminent. Eminent is a word we have heard before. It says the eminence of a person may be that they're famous and they're respected in a particular sphere or profession, meaning we know Michael Jordan, okay? We know Arthur Ashe, just letting you know there's these people out there that we know, and we know them by what they became famous and excellent at. Okay. Or they might have brought a new twist to an area that brought it forward and more to the limelight, where people paid more attention to what was going on. And it's not, even though I'm talking about it in the context of it is Black History Month, and I always this is my third year of trying to do something to just say something about Black history, but it's all history. Eleanor Roosevelt, they didn't realize what a dynamic force she was. She was a dynamic force. You just think about so many people that they came with a purpose. They stayed on their purpose. They lived it through, and they wouldn't let it die. They wouldn't let it die. Even with them, it existed beyond their death. That's pretty exciting. That is pretty exciting. So example, oh yes, Debbie, that's a great word. Enrichment, elite. Yes, elite, meaning, all right, elevated. That's good. That's another word, elevated, putting it up, elite. So I agree. All of those words are wonderful. But anyway, when we move on with this eminent, it talks about this respect that's out there because the person has become famous for something special that they did for others. Everlasting. Come on now, Cheryl. Yes. So illustrious. Eminent also means distinguished. Have you ever met a distinguished person and you're just so excited to meet them, but yet and still they're not too snooty. They're able to say, hello, give a smile. I like those kind of people. Now I have had a few that I've met that weren't very nice. They were full of themselves and not willing to just enjoy the level of attention that they were receiving. I guess it might have been too much, but they didn't like it. So eminent also talks about it being renowned, esteemed, prominent, notable, prestigious, and celebrated. When we think about some of the people that have been, put in the news or having big, huge dedications. We just celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King last month. That you just think about that. There's just so much that goes into what did they do? How did they do it? Were other people involved in it with them? And what happened? What was the result? We move on in our word of eponymous. My P of eponymous is preservation. Preservation. Preservation is the action of preserving something. So even when someone moves on to glory, they die, what they've done remains. Even if it's bad, it still remains. I would never want to be known as a serial killer. No, thank you. No, thank you. But I would love to have been known as a great educator. That I would take that on. That's it. Great education, occasional singer. Yeah, I'll take those. But the preservation talks about it being something that is essential. I missed that word. Thank you, Joan. That is true. Because when somebody is probably been eponymous, there's something that was essential that was gotten from that. Perfect. Oh, yes. Perfect and popular. Ooh, y'all coming with it this morning. So preservation talks about being protection, conservation, maintenance, care, safeguarding, keeping, and sustaining. All of that happens when you've had somebody that's really done something that is wonderful and the world has benefited. And it's not just people, it's also things that have been created. I think one of my favorite ones is the fact of the 3M. That's one of my favorite ideas that was created out by accident. One of the individuals that was working for 3M cut the paper wrong. It was supposed to be bigger and it was supposed to be different and all of this kind of thing. But it ended up being that they had all of this paper left over and they said, what are we going to do with it? Well, somebody pulled off one of them and started writing on it. And that's how the little Post-it notes began. We never know how history will change by something little that someone's done or something big. You never know. You never know how it's going to turn out. But portray, purpose, popular, perfect, all of them perfect, popular, portraying good stuff, y'all, this morning. And it has a purpose, is working us through this. When we move on with my O in eponymous, my O is Odyssey. Odyssey. And Odyssey is a long and eventful or adventurous journey or experience. You think that someone came up with an idea and let it rip for years and years and years before it really got the traction and attention that it deserved. Those people are dedicated. They are absolutely dedicated. Like, last night I watched the Grammys and I was just looking at, all the talent that was there, songwriting and delivery and performance and, it's just wonderful stuff. But they worked on it. They made it work for them, which made it work for us because we end up buying the music that we want to hear, buying the music that they're putting out in our airways is wonderful. So the Odyssey talks about this long and eventful and adventurous journey or experience. It said it is the journey. It is the voyage. It's the trek. It's the travel. It's also the crusade. Because some people are absolutely on crusades. or pilgrimage. They've decided that what they're on, they must stay on it till they leave here. That is their passion. That's their purpose, you know. One and only. That's right, the one and only. Yes, official. Yes, originator. Oh, that's really good. Originator, because creators, a lot of, in many instances, they are the originators. Now, I feel that there's a lot of people who will take what you have and they'll perfect it, so they think, and they'll become the originator copier or the originating copier. They bring it on. Because they either challenge you to change what you created from the beginning, and sometimes what was given originally was the best to be created. Others may come after as copies, you know. Even now, you can go to Amazon, and what does Amazon give you? You know, you get the name brand, and then you get everything else. You can ask for the name brand. It may be more expensive, and it may be in stock. But then the non-brand may not be in stock, and you have to wait longer to get it, but it's cheaper. You know, you have to decide what it is that you want. You know, that's one of the reasons I love to learn, and I learn on my own scale. You know, when I was in school, I had to learn on what they tell me I had to learn and when I had to learn it and how. Now I learn it in such a way that makes it to be more, you know, contained in memory and retained, meaning that I have something to lean back on in terms of my own ability to be a part of conversations. That's one of the reasons that I love Are You Stuck? Because it says, you know, maybe I need to get some more words to come in here. Because, you know, anyone that's creating a sentence in terms of structure, if you keep using the same word in the same sentence, guess what? People are like, okay, you're short on. That's one of the reasons why Are You Stuck gives you an array of words to use. And part of it is that you create some and I create some. Collectively, we have more words. Collectively. Incidentally, I am still working on the workbook. So hopefully the Lord's going to answer, and I'll be trying to get that finished up. My N in my word today of eponymous is noticeable. Okay. Usually if someone's out there and they're doing something that's great, it's going to get recognition. So noticeable, easily seen or noticed. It's apparent. Okay. That somebody's working on something that's really good. You know, the other day I saw a young man. He's not even out of high school yet. Very young guy, young little fella. I think he said he was 14, and he's already been given a scholarship and a check, a really wonderful check. I wanted to say it was over $20,000. It might have been at 20, but it was for him creating a cream, a soap actually, for cancer. He's a kid. He's 14 years old, you know, but he came with a vision. He figured, how can I help people? How can they avoid being sick, being ill? You know, and what can they use if they get to this point? It's to me, I mean, if I had to do my life all over again, I would probably be in science. Because, you know, I am nosy, you know, when it comes to educational stuff. I do like it. But I'd probably just have to work harder, because I remember those long nights of chemistry and biology and all those things that said, eh. But when I see where the growth is and where growth is needed, in many instances, it is in the sciences. It is in the sciences. Let's see. Necessity, non-sacred. Okay. All right. I like those. So I said noticeable. And noticeable really talks about easily seen and apparent. It says it's in a certain percentile that you probably make it where it's really high and visible. It said it is discernible. It's going to be detectable, observational, perceivable, recognizable, and distinct. When you think about all the people that they've really, through the years, paid homage to, name buildings and bridges and laws and all these things after, these people were not just little in their field. They were huge. They were monumentous. They were giants because they came with an idea and they stayed with it. They stayed with it. I wish I could instill that energy that kids have when they're really, really young, and you see them and they're interested in this and that, and they want to be this and that. And as time goes on, it says that, peer pressure, home environment, and, just their first or second slip at something, they doubt themselves. And sometimes if you can get beyond the doubt, if you can get beyond, the friends, and sometimes even the family, there are families that have had first time, college graduates, and they've basically broken, the generational history of not being able to say that someone, took higher education seriously, or had the money to do it, or the opportunity. Let's put it where it is, the opportunity. So no nonsense, that's good too. Navigation, noteworthy, all those are excellent, excellent, excellent. So the when we move on in the word of eponymous, we talk about the why, and the why is the letter Y, and also why, yearning. It says a feeling of intense longing for something. The persons that stay committed to things that no one else can see, no one else believes in, no one else is supporting, you've got to have a yearning for that thing. Have to. It's in your, it's almost like it's in your mind, it's in your DNA, it's in your heart. You want it. And when you want something, you work for it. You're not going to fall short of what it, well, Sandy, I say you shouldn't do that. And I always give my example of me going for a doctorate. People are saying, why? You got a good job, you don't even need it. It was already given to me as a young, college student, that I would get my doctorate. Didn't know if I could, but it was a goal. It was a goal of mine. And most people who work towards a goal will reach the goal as long as they do not give up. You'll reach it. That's it. You're gonna make it. Yonder wanderer. Okay, I like that. That's right. A yearner. Somebody that's just yearning for whatever is up the road for them. It's not for you, it's for them. And it says the person that is yearning, they have a longing, a pining. They have a desire. It's not your desire, it's theirs. They have a want, they have a need, and they have a wish. You can't say anything about, yes, okay, I see it, Sherry, hey, how are you? Sherry, good morning. Yep, it's good to see you. Yes, they can say yes to things. That's really good. Because how many of us don't say yes to a lot of things, only to realize later on that had we said yes, we'd be doing the same thing or better than what other people are doing at that very thing. Joan Yardstick. Oh, that's good. Yes. Because sometimes Yahoo, yes. Yahoo is good. Actually, when I went to my my little go-to thesaurus and dictionaries, Yahoo was in there for the person that is just so excited about what they've achieved. It's a Yahoo for them. It's also a yes, it's a yes. So we move on in the word of look, I came in, I left it down there. Eponymous. We end up coming up with monument. I got too many M's this morning. Monument. How many of us look at the people that have gone on to glory, or they may still be there, and there's monuments in their name? Loads of them. Loads, loads. You know, the bridges that you go over, whose name on it? Whose name are on them? The car that you drive, okay? The glasses that you wear, it's probably got somebody's name on it. Except these came from the dollar store. These are the ones I leave down here when I don't get my good ones upstairs. So yes, yes. Manifest, that's really good. Mentor, motivator, magnify. Ooh, all those. Great, 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 great. You know, you think about it, you know, we magnify, it says that we magnify the Lord, but sometimes we magnify people and what they've done, and we give them, you know, their earthly greatness. We give it to them. We do. We pay homage sometimes, and the fact that we will go see somebody and spend money, the fact that we will buy books, we will buy, you know, performances, dancing, singing, whatever, acting. We will also, you know, just go to, like me, go to the Seabreeze conference, jazz concerts. Do them every year. That's my only guilty pleasure, is that every single year I must go hear some outside jazz. I don't answer phone calls. I don't, you know, do work. It's my 3 days, actually 4 days of sandy time. I do that, but we don't do it very often. But it says movement. Yes, that's good too. So the monument talks about it being a statue, a building, or other structure that could be erected to commemorate a famous or notable person or event. We can go in every city, as I said earlier, and we can find these things that people will be known for after they leave here. And some of them, as I said, while they're still here, there's something up that's been erected in their name. And to me, I like that, you know, that whole thing of give me my flowers. I like it that the person would know it ahead of time, you know, before they leave the world. Once you leave, you know nothing. You know, we don't know anything. So that would be major, and it will also be a mindset. Absolutely, Cheryl and Deb, absolutely. The monument is the memorial. It could be a statue. It could be a pillar, a column. It could be a monolith, or it could be the cross, you know. And I always notice that when you go to the grave sites, many of the grave sites have, what do they have on them? There's a cross on the tombstone, a cross, you know, but it may be flowers, you know, it may be a saying of some sort. So that it may be a saying that they always had, that they are putting on the tombstone to let everybody remember that that was their saying. That was the way they said it. You know, I couldn't put everything on there, but my mother said. I couldn't, because I told you she was a cusser. And I never picked up cussing much. I just never did. But it is what it is. My O in eponymous is objective. In this is the second O. The first O was Odyssey. The second O is objective. It says a thing aimed at or sought. It is a goal. Once again, most of us have had goals in our lives, whatever they were. For some people, it might have been to get married and have children. Other people, it was to complete a book. Somebody else, it may be to, you know, cut a record or climb the highest mountain in the world, you know, swim with dolphins. No thanks. There's just loads and loads of things that people put on their to-do list. It could be their you know, bucket list, but it's theirs. You know, it may not be yours, but it's their list. Obligation overall, okay? And being obedient, yes. Sometimes being obedient is how we get into taking on something else that it was always in us, but we couldn't take it on early on, so we take it on later on. And being observant, those are all great. So the objective says is that an aim is being sought. There's a purpose. There's a goal. You had intention. It might be the grail or the holy grail. It may be the end of when something will be finished that you're working on. It may be the design in which you created it. It could be the plan. And lastly, it's going to be a scheme. Let's face it, we have schemes that we do. We do of how we're going to, maybe get support, maybe write the letters, maybe do the campaign, maybe, solicit in some way to get the support behind us as we move into something that we feel is not just for us, but for those that come after us or those still here, We move on in our word. We talk about being uncharted. Uncharted. Eponymous talks about it being uncharted. In many cases, no one else did whatever this person did, or it might be that group did before. Wasn't ever done. So that makes it something enormous. It says uncharted. What does it mean to be an uncharted person? It says that means it could be that they were unknown and unfamiliar to the masses. But yet and still, it says they may be eventually have decided to travel where there was no travel. So that would be the untraveled. To explore where there had been no exploration. So that would be unexplored. To be mapping in areas where there were no maps. So that would be the unmapped. To be known in areas where there was no known, person doing what they're doing. That would be the unknown. This is the uncharted now. And to be eventually discovered, having gone through a period of undiscovered at all, because no one else was doing it. To me, those are some gutsy people. I was thinking about, some of the explorers that went out on, cold, terrain and up, hot to high elevations, and only having, the little fur around their faces and the boots and carrying. I couldn't do it. I barely made it out of New York because the cold was killing me. And I said, I couldn't be the one that would be an explorer, not even in the summertime. So don't get me wrong. It wouldn't just be winter. It would be summer too. I'm just not the cold person. So we have universal, unique, untitled, unity, unfold. Wonderful. All good. Great words. And they all are words that you can add to eponymous that really speaks to what's next. My last word I thought was really a cute word. And I don't know if you've ever heard the word before, but it's called sagacious. Sagacious is having or showing keen. Many of you are sagacious. When you come in here with me, you are sagacious. Keen mental discernment and good judgment. It says you could at times be shrewd, not screwed, but shrewd, but that you have an idea of where you're going with your thinking, how you're putting it out there, what information you're coming up with that makes sense to you and could also benefit not only the conversation, but the ideas that are being tossed around between people. So the sagaciousness of us says that we at times can be wise. We can be clever. We can be intelligent. We can be knowledgeable. We can be sane. I want to be sane. Discerning, penetrating, acute, and prolific. Sagacious. That's a good word. Write it in your book. I never encourage you to have a book, but I hope you do. Because I got away from the 5-letter words. Now I'm up in the bigger words because I figured out how I can do my time better, just going through faster and not having 30 words to describe what I originally stated, but breaking it down to only, 5 or 6 words and saying them much more quickly. So that's a special and shine and smart, safeguard, seek, special, all of those, all good. Debbie, yeah, you said special. Okay. And then seek. I think that's a great word, to seek something out, not having done it before, and bringing your intellectual prowess to it. You can't do anything else but say amen. You got to. So anyway, I'm hoping that you all will look at your own way of moving forward on the idea of the eponymous personality that you are, or others that you know of that are doing things that are for the betterment of your area, your world, your family. Um, I know sometimes when someone passes on in a family, they were so great in terms of holding up the banner of the family that the family was having trouble moving on because they were such a stellar supporter of what went on in that family. And so I love that idea. I love it. I know, I was thinking the other day, a lot of my family has moved on to glory, and so I'm not orphaned because I'm always a child of God, but I know I don't have the layers ahead of me anymore. I'm at the ceiling of looking at life, but also trying to give back to my nephews, my nieces, and then all of their children, just looking at life differently. And so they tune in, and some of them, because they work, they come back and watch it later on. And they're always excited about the fact that they have they call me TT or Auntie, who will step out and just try to continue doing something that teaches people how to deal with themselves on living life above the rim, not making it where they're just in existence to die, but that they're in existence to live. One of the things I was watching, and I think it's called, I'm going to try to put that out there. I think it's called The Bold. It's a bold website, but it's talking about living bolder, not older, understanding the significance of living life in your, because they try to make it like by the time you turn 50, 60 years old, you're going to just be crumbling and falling apart. And they said that's not true. Like they said, the 80 is now what is considered old, and anybody under 80 that is active, that is living their life well, that is smiling, that is socializing, that is getting involved in their community, or their groups of maybe it is where they're doing games, or they're doing reading books, or they're doing something that has them socializing or dancing. That's the other one it said last night. So, I look at life that way. The longer we get out there and we live our lives as if we are not golden dead, but we're goldenly alive. We're living our happy. We're understanding that we are here until we live, but we don't need to die while we're still living. Live your life. Enjoy what you're doing. Teach yourself something new every single day. These words, write them down from now on. I haven't asked you to do that before, but write them down and start adding to your vocabulary, and then use them when you can. But look, I'm going to see you again on Wednesday. But I'm asking that you do this for me. If you don't do anything else, hit that share button today and let other people know that I am out there, just trying to do it as a good citizen, as a good educator, but somebody that's interested in them living a long life and having a brain that just takes them forward. All right. Love you, love you, love you. Appreciate you. Be safe out there, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye. Live your life as if it were the last. Yes, absolutely. Thanks for the truth. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. I love you. Bye-bye.